So I found myself in Paris, and I was a professional dancer, and I just got a job on a TV station. And then every Saturday, well, not every Saturday, but there has been two Saturday where the producer had called me and he wanted to take me out. And I kind of just found an excuse because I didn't really want to go out with him, and I knew the reason he wanted to go out, and that was clearly nothing that I wanted. And then the third Saturday he called me again, and he was very direct, very clear what he wanted, very straightforward, and I just said basically no, that I could not do it. And then the week after I found myself with no job. So my dream, as a little girl, you grow up and you just dream about dancing, it was just completely crushed. And I went home to Norway again, and I was asking the question if God exists and where is he, and how do I find him. And then I did find God, and then a few years later I experienced an invitation and calling to open a Christian dance school, a dance school that was both for technical dance for professional, or you wanted to be a professional, and also if you wanted to do worship dance. So I felt, from both of the ends. And then it was of course important for me to have a healthy, inspiring, good culture at this dance school, because I myself had experienced to all my dreams being crushed because of the industry, because of the competition, because of the negativity, and the jealousy, and the sex pressure. So that was something that was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, that's what I want. But then when it came to worship dance, that's something that I really haven't done before, because I didn't grow up as a Christian, and I was a little bit unsure what it was, and I had this fear of what people would think when I do worship dance, and also what would they think of me, because I found myself when I did worship dance, I basically put my whole heart out there, and not every time it was like any choreography involved. I just honestly shared my emotion and partnering with God, and I felt just transparent, that people could see me for who I am and who I am as a person. And I had this fear, like, what will they think? Will they reject me? Will they think that I'm weird? And there was a lot of just things going on in my head, in my heart, in my stomach, like, what about this? What about this? And I also was afraid of feeling lonely, because as I was dancing before, I had felt the loneliness of, competing against everyone for every job, and things like that. So, I had a lot of different fear inside of me. And then what I experienced when I just started is that actually there were some people that were Christian that did reject me, and it did not feel good to me, and I experienced the loneliness again. And to be honest, there were even other Christian people that were dancing or were dancers that I also felt this jealousy, this competition, this just not unity at all, and it made me really sad. So one night, I think it was at the fall, October, November, something, I was in the dance studio and I was completely alone, and I felt this heavy burden of rejection, this from just friends and other Christian and even dancers, and I just felt this loneliness, this struggle inside of me, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Like, what now? And then I just dance. I put on some music and some song, and I just dance all my emotion out. I remember I was crying, feeling just despair. And after I've done that for a while, I just sat down in the corner of the studio, and I just lean my back into the wall. And at that moment, I'm not sure what happened, but I just felt this peace inside of me, and I felt this clarity that I'm going to do it. I am going to continue with this. And no matter if there's no one around me to support me or cheer on me, I'm going to do this. And I felt this joy coming inside of me. So I just started to wanting to bring this dance school into a place of unity among Christian dancers. I wanted both non-professional and professional to carry the Lord's heart of cheering on one another, loving one another, supporting one another, honoring one another. That was something that was truly important for me to implement in that school. And I was going to do everything that was in my power, and then I was just going to leave the rest up to God. So that was my plan, to just continue. So what I found is that, from walking on that place of just feeling this peace and joy to do it, I did hit some obstacle. It wasn't that easy that I thought. I mean, I still felt very lonely because I didn't feel I could talk with anyone or, share ideas. And I also felt trapped between being in a day job, and then I was teaching dance in the evening, and then churches were hiring me to come and teach in the weekends. So I mean, I had like no time. I was just running all over the place, and I felt I couldn't breathe. I didn't have enough money in the dance school to even just work with that. So I had to work in the other job, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make this? I can't do both. And I started to feel exhausted, and I just felt pulled inside in every direction. So a funny thing happened at that moment. I was invited by a friend of mine into a dinner with some of his friends, and down sit the woman. Her name is Morgan. She made a wonderful dinner, and she just sat down in the living room, and it was not expected at all. And she asked, so what are you doing? And I told her, I have a Christian dance school. I'm like really trying to make it work, and this is the vision for the dance school. And she just looked at me like just stunned, like, and I was like, what, did I say anything wrong? And she just looked at me, and then she shared her heart that she has been trying to put together like New Year's Eve event or celebration where she wanted to have some people come in and dance, but she couldn't find anyone, and the one that she knew, all of them said no. So she'd been trying for months, and she just like said, okay, I'm just going to give it up. It won't be any dance. And that meeting and that relationship, it changed everything for me. Just one meeting, just one relation, it changed everything. So the New Year's celebration she was going to put together, it was going to be on a Christian TV station, and she invited me to come and dance there with worship dance. So I'm like, oh my God, talk about God coming full circle and redeeming my story from the bad experience I had, in Paris. And with that came a lot of exposure for my dance school, for what I was standing for, what I was teaching about. I wanted to love and inspire people in dance, wherever different level they were at, adult, youth, and children, and just feel the joy of it. So, and it's funny all the different fear that I had, because as this grew, I just felt suddenly accepted for who I am, and all the beliefs set that I had, or negative mindset, or fears and rejection. I found that actually being really true to who I am and who God had created me to be, that was the best things that I could ever do, because my dreams came true from that place. And today I just want to encourage you that you can do it too. If I can go through all these things, then you can do it too. You can do whatever you feel in your heart to do with dance.